Well, that was an appropriate musical outro there, that little thunderstorm. You can probably hear the weather over at my place too. Good morning, welcome to Local News Live, a community service of AOC Community Media in partnership with The Advocate. Um, this morning we are joined. Good morning, Bruce. How are you this morning?
Very, very well, my friend Matt Roberts. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Sorry, I forgot to unmute my mic to you, so you probably didn't hear the rest of the intro.
Oh, that's okay. I figured I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, right, pretty standard stuff. But it
Yeah.
is Local News Live. It'll be read this morning by Bruce Cohen, our volunteer newsreader and teacher of all things life, but I know acting in particular and drama, and a great newsreader. Bruce, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. You forgot to say intrepid.
I did. Well, I assumed you wanted Intrepid struck today. since you aren't doing any hard investigative reporting, I will reiterate dedicated, though. You're definitely that. Been very.
Okay, well, I appreciate all the accolades I can get. So thank you, Matt.
Take it away,
Um,
buddy.
man, my man. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It's Wednesday, the 29th of April, 2020, and here is the news, as it is stated to me by the Acadiana Advocate. Mass testing in the state could begin soon. Edwards to meet with Trump at White House by Sam Carlin. Louisiana officials hope to use an extra 2 weeks of stay-at-home order to ramp up coronavirus testing, a key weapon in the fight to slow the virus's spread amid a phased reopening as the federal government pledges 200,000 tests that would boost capacity to the level John Bell Edwards has called for to start loosening restrictions. And officials say they plan to change their strategy for stemming deadly outbreaks at places like nursing homes and prisons by conducting mass testing of asymptomatic residents. The move comes as the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention added to the list of people prioritized for tests those with no symptoms but who live in high-risk settings. Louisiana has expanded access to testing from the early days of the outbreak here, when tests were scarce and leaders were flying mostly blind amid the pandemic. Still, experts say the state needs to continue to ramp up its ability to test people, something that will become crucial for the state to start reopening responsibly by closely tracking the newly affected and the people that come in contact with to isolate them. The governor's office announced late Tuesday that Edwards will meet with President Donald Trump on Wednesday, today at the White House, to discuss Louisiana's response to the coronavirus. I look forward to having a substantive conversation with President Trump about Louisiana's response to the COVID-19 outbreak, our plans to reopen additional businesses next month, and our ongoing needs as we surge our testing capacity to 200 tests per month beginning in May, Edwards said. I am appreciative of the president's attention to Louisiana and his support for our people during this difficult time for our state. Dr. Alex Billios, Assistant Secretary of the state's Office of Public Health, said state and federal health experts now believe it is useful to test asymptomatic people at places like nursing homes, long-term adult care facilities, and prisons where outbreaks have proliferated with deadly results across the state. Billios said that significant numbers of people who don't have symptoms are actively shedding the virus, meaning they are contagious, and that is most concerning in places like nursing homes where vulnerable people live in close proximity to one another. He said officials now believe it is helpful to test those people after weeks of limiting tests to notify those showing symptoms. While we are excited and grateful there will be testing resources coming to the state, 200,000 is still not enough to test 4.7 million Louisianians, Billios said. We still need to think about who is a priority for testing, especially the most vulnerable individuals to COVID-19, to get as much testing as possible. Testing of asymptomatic people have already started at some nursing homes that have gone ahead with testing on their own, Billy said. And Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women tested asymptomatic inmates after an explosion of cases there and found 116 were positive, according to the Department of Public Safety and Corrections. Until recently, officials have largely said they do not recommend mass testing of asymptomatic people. Dr. Catherine O'Neill, an infectious disease specialist in Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center, said it is still true that testing asymptomatic people who don't live in nursing homes or prisons can backfire. That's because people may get a negative test the day before they start shedding the virus and believe they aren't infected. That false assurance could cause them to spread the virus unknowingly. O'Neill was among the health experts advising Edwards on Sunday on whether to extend the state's stay-at-home order or lift it this week. After O'Neill and other health experts agreed the numbers of new cases and hospitalizations weren't falling adequately in several regions of the state, Edwards extended the order until May 15th. We feel strongly that without widespread testing and contact tracing, and with 3 regions that are seeing increasing cases, we may not be the best place to lift the stay-at-home order, O'Neill said. Health experts also said the state needs to boost its testing abilities and the number of contact tracers at its disposal to begin safely reopening. Edwards said the state will soon get a weekly allocation from the CDC of testing materials like swabs and transport fluid to get the state to 200,000 tests, which is the level he said is ideal to start reopening. I don't think we're there yet, said Dr. Suzanne Strafe-Bourgeois, another expert who advised Edwards on Sunday of the state testing's ability. In the meantime, the state should also be boosting its cache of personal protective equipment, or PPE, for healthcare workers and first responders, said Strafe-Bourgeois, a former official at the Louisiana Department of Health, who is now at LSU Health Sciences Center in New Orleans. Although data looks promising in the New Orleans region, Strafe-Bourgeois and other regions that were hit later with the virus need to see steeper drop-offs in cases and hospitalizations. She also warned that opening on a parish-by-parish basis could cause the virus to make a resurgence, especially if people from a current hotspot travel to a city that has reopened. Some Republican lawmakers have questioned why Edwards is not reopening on a regional or parish basis, and business groups have criticized his move to extend the stay-at-home order. COVID-19 coronavirus, the latest, Acadiana virus deaths top 100 by Claire Taylor. A day after Acadiana was identified as one of 3 regions of the state where coronavirus cases aren't significantly dropping, 3 new deaths were reported Tuesday in Lafayette Parish, along with 2 in St. Landry Parish and 1 in Iberia, pushing the number of deaths in Acadiana to 101. Deaths in Acadiana make up 6% of the 1,758 people who have died from COVID-19 in Louisiana. Statewide, 61 new deaths and 200 new cases were reported Tuesday by the Louisiana Department of Health, one day after Governor John Bel Edwards said he was extending his stay-at-home order to May 15th, in part because the Acadiana, Baton Rouge, and Monroe regions aren't seeing the decline in COVID-19 cases as other parts of the state. The 3 additional deaths attributed to COVID-19 in Lafayette Parish came more than 2 weeks after Easter and more than a week after Mayor President Josh Guillory reopened some businesses under his Safe Shop initiative with restrictions such as the use of masks and occupancy limits. Several other parishes have followed his lead, including Iberia Parish and hard-hit St. Landry Parish. A lot of people are disappointed and frustrated, even angry, that the governor's stay-at-home order, which was to expire Friday, was extended by 2 weeks, Guillory said in a news conference Tuesday. I can certainly relate to those feelings. I want to get this all to be over as much as anyone else. But he added Edwards is closely following federal guidelines for reopening businesses and Louisiana, in part because of Acadiana doesn't meet all the criteria for a phase 1 opening. First case of COVID-19 in the state surfaced March 9th in the New Orleans area. On March 18th, the same day Lafayette began drive-through screening at the Cajun Dome, the first case of the virus was reported in Lafayette Parish. In Orleans and Jefferson parishes, the first and worst areas of infection, the spread of the coronavirus has plateaued. Because of early testing and closures, Lafayette Parish never saw a dramatic spike in cases, Guillory said. That resulted in stretching the time frame in which the virus remains in the area. Dr. Tina Stefanski, Regional Medical Director of the State Office of Public Health in Acadiana, said the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention look at new cases and trends in new cases and undertakes calculations that show COVID-19 the Acadiana region overall is trending down, but there's still too much variability in the numbers that may be due to clusters of people gathering without proper protection. In the 7-parish health department, Region 4, which includes Lafayette, Acadia, Evangeline, Iberia, St. Landry, St. Martin, and Vermilion parishes, 12 new cases of the virus were reported Tuesday for a total of 1,300 new cases. St. Landry is among the 10 worst parishes in the state for deaths due to COVID-19, with 37 as of Tuesday. Most of them have occurred among nursing home residents, Stefanski said. Statewide, 27,286 cases of COVID-19 have been reported since the virus surfaced in Louisiana on March 9th, along with 1,758 deaths and another 43 probable deaths since the first death in the state was reported March 14th. 13 fewer Region 4 patients were on ventilators Tuesday, but an additional 6 were in intensive care, and bed usage was up by 66. St. Maur Parish to distribute free face masks. Masks will be distributed to St. Martin Parish residents beginning Wednesday at a number of locations. The parish's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness recently received a donation of cotton masks from the Haynes Corporation, according to a statement from the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office. The distribution sites will be open, which will open at 10 a.m. today, Wednesday, will be drive-through. Each vehicle will be given a package containing 5 masks. Distribution sites include unincorporated areas of St. Martin Parish. That's St. Martin's Parish Sheriff's Office Public Safety Complex at 4870 Main Highway and Parks. In Brobridge at Park Candy Pavilion, 755 Doucet Drive, St. Martinville City Hall, 120 South New Market Street, Henderson, Henry Guidry Park Pavilion behind City Hall and 1007 Amy Street, Parks at City Hall at 1019 Peru Street, Stevensville and Bell River, Stevensville Elementary, 3243 LA 70. Haynes, along with 11 other brands, retrofitted factories to make face masks to help combat the aggressive spread of COVID-19. The company has made more than 320 million all-cotton face masks that are washable, reusable, and designed for everyday wear. Numerous parishes in Louisiana have received donated masks. In Lafayette Parish, Mayor President Josh Guillory is requiring public-facing employees at some businesses to wear masks in order to remain open. Donated face masks were distributed to businesses largely on Lafayette's north side. Governor John Bell Edwards has also suggested requiring face masks to be part of his plan to gradually reopen Louisiana's economy, which has largely been shut down since he issued a stay-at-home order in March. All right. And let's go to our first PSA for the morning. And if you're feeling that you need to speak to somebody because of this pandemic and the feelings that occur with it, and that many people are already that are suffering from elements of depression or loneliness or just plain anxiety, can contact the Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with stress, fear, and anxiety, as I mentioned, about the uncertainty surrounding the public health emergency, there is a special Keeping Calm with the COVID hotline you can call. This connects you to trained, compassionate counselors who can offer support and who can direct you to mental health and substance abuse counseling services. Trained counselors are available 24/7. All calls are confidential. You can call 1-866-310-7977. That's 866-310-7977. If you have lost your job or if you have reduced hours, you may be eligible for Medicaid. You can apply online at mymedicaid.la.gov. You can also apply by phone by calling 1-888-342-6207 or by mail, send the information to Louisiana Medicaid P.O. Box 912-91283, Baton Rouge, LA 70821. Local Medicaid offices are currently closed to public. If additional assistance is needed, you can call 888-342-6207. Stop the spread, call instead. For the latest COVID-19 updates and information here locally, you can visit www.311lafayette.services. Call centers with volunteers and medical professionals are active 24/7 to answer your questions about COVID-19 and determine if you need to get screened. You may also call 311 and press option 2 if you're a business owner, employee, or are looking for a job to get information about applying for small business recovery loans, apply for unemployment benefits, and related programs. But if you just need information to determine whether you feel you have the virus or not, please call 311. They will ask you a series of questions, determine if your need to get tested is required. Okay, turning back to the news. It's been a godsend. Many Acadiana businesses benefiting from payroll loan program by Megan Wyatt. Many small business owners in Acadiana are using a federal loan program to stay afloat during the coronavirus shutdown, although at least one has had trouble bringing employees back to work because unemployment benefits are more lucrative. Z. Ballock, owner of Hot Food Express, initially slashed his restaurant's hours of operation in mid-March when the restaurant restrictions went into place in Louisiana. His small team of about 9 people lost the bulk of their usual 30 to 40 hours per week until he could slowly expand the restaurant's hours for a takeout and delivery only operation. When he called some of his furloughed employees back in, Ballock said 3 told him they didn't plan to return because they are making more through unemployment than they would at the restaurant. I even tried to match their pay, but they turned it down, Ballock said. All I'm thinking is I lost 3 good ones who were able to run the restaurant on their own, Ballock said, and has hired since 2 high school students to work at the restaurant's front counter. Like mailing, Ballock applied for the U.S. Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program immediately and quickly received money, which he said is helping to pay for his 2 recent hires. Ballock said the loan application process isn't easy without the help of someone who knows the ropes. They think it's easy, he said, but it's a little complicated. I had to get my accountant to do it. I know how to cook. That's what I do. Claire Kelbaugh, president of Sterling Wellness Solutions in Crowley, said she would have to take out a loan this summer without assistance from the federal program. It's been a godsend, she said. Our biggest expenses are payroll. We really needed that. Kilbaugh said she was at the bank the first day she could apply for the program because she wanted to be ahead of the game. The money was in her account less than a week later. We were floored, she said. We thought it would be a few weeks. It happened really fast. Kilbaugh says she hasn't had to furlough or lay off any of her 21 employees. The program has alleviated some of the stress so she can focus on her business, which offers corporate wellness programs across the country. The money has been a huge financial relief for us, she said. We can focus on our work and not on that. Now we're not distracted. Carlos Nod, who owns Bayou Teche Brewing in Arnoldville, said he too applied for the federal program immediately and received his money within a week. He had initially furloughed 14 of his 15 employees. The bulk of his beer goes to restaurants and bars, which have been closed to the public since mid-March. His tap room and brewery have also been closed during that time. This program allows me to bring my employees back a lot earlier, Knott said. If we had been shut down almost 2 months with very little income coming in, we would have basically just been family only until we are operating at 100% again. Knott had a meeting with his team Tuesday to discuss next steps at the brewery. We'll be able to serve takeout pizzas and packaged beer for customers to consume at home or outside of his brewery, where he has seating for about 100 people. He said he hasn't had trouble bringing folks back to work after weeks away. Quite the opposite, Knott said. My people have been calling almost every other day asking to come in. We're all ready. Everybody is excited to come back. Keeping the faith away from their churches, neighbors of different denominations come together in worship by Ken Stickney. Sharon and Desi Dose missed their weekly mass attendance at St. Edmond Catholic Church and that routine connection to their children and grandchildren who attend there. The church was among 120 in the Catholic Diocese of Lafayette that ceased holding public services in March as part of the global effort to offset the novel coronavirus. So on Good Friday, Sharon Dose and her neighbors gathered in and around her Arrowhead subdivision that backs up to the Vermilion River. There they prayed the Rosary, a scripture-based prayer that includes recitation of the Lord's Prayer and the Hail Mary. Many brought their own rosary beads. She invited anyone who passed her home on their daily walks to attend, as well as people from Frenchman's Creek and Delmar Estates and other nearby neighborhoods that share her website. More than 30 people attended to pray the rosary, which includes more than 60 prayers. It takes about a half an hour. Desi Dose set up a sound system with a recorded rosary leader, and neighbors with lawn chairs sat beneath the stately oaks and peaceful pecan trees to pray or reflect. Attendance was so good and response so enthusiastic that the Doses have set up a rosary on Easter and on the 2 Sundays since, always at 3 p.m. Neighbors who attend a variety of Catholic and non-Catholic churches draw near the subdivision's shaded edge, heeding the 6-foot spacing required by social distancing. Some neighbors simply sit in the yard several yards away to listen and pray. Blue Rolls, spokeswoman for the Diocese of Lafayette, said other Catholics in the diocese have made local efforts to hold their faith near, even in a time when the church doors are closed. In our neighborhood of Calisalum Road, she said, some neighbors set up in informal Stations of the Cross, the 14-step Catholic devotion that embraces the last day on earth for Jesus Christ. Morning walkers, especially as Easter neared, would stop and pray at the series of stops, some marked by children's drawings or colorings offered, others by carved relics. When I walk in the mornings, I will see groups stop and pray, Rose said. Some would kneel. In Arrowhead on Sunday, there were a few people around the clock near to 3 p.m. Then participants arrived on foot or by bicycle until there were about 20 in and around the Doses' yard and some on adjacent lawns. Others came out singly or in small groups or lawns up the hill or down the block until there were about 30 people or so near the shade where Tom Hart Drive and Buffalo Run meet. That included Larry and Sarah Thibodeau and daughter Abby. The community is coming together to pray, Larry Thibodeau said. We're not with our church family now, but with our community. Charles and Barbara Wright, who live nearby, said it didn't matter if participants were Catholic or not. They were together and at peace. Rose said Catholics around the diocese have continued to follow live stream masses from the churches or from the Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist or elsewhere. She said younger priests have coached older priests to master social media, or at least have become functional enough with live streaming or video masses to share with their own parishes. Dennis Clark, a spokesman for the First Baptist Church in Lafayette, said the downtown church family has also embraced social media to keep in touch with their brothers and sisters in the faith as the pandemic wears on. That includes recorded services, Sunday school on Zoom, and a 6:30 p.m. Wednesday service. I'd like to say we had at least 325 in our Zoom Sunday school group last week, he said. Clark says some small prayer groups met for special intentions, including social distancing mandates, and others are using or considering social media for a women's prayer blank ministry and for contemporary services, which might be held outdoors. Some are eager to return to the sanctuary at the downtown church. Others, especially those with older or with compromised immune systems, are less eager to return to pews. Clark said the need to connect with the church and God has led some people to embrace technology that they otherwise might have shunned. Sometimes you just need a little nudge, he said. Drive-through frozen treats opening up by Megan Wyatt. Schools have been out for more than a month and the sun has been shining for much of that time. It certainly feels as though summer has arrived in Acadiana, even if it's technically still several weeks until the calendar says so. Looking for a frozen treat to cool off? There are a few options, from spots offering drive-through service to comply with dining restrictions in place because of the coronavirus. Sour Rainbow Extreme Stuffed Snow Cone. This over-the-top snow cone creation includes blue raspberry, banana, and cherry syrups in a vanilla ice cream stuffing. It's topped with rainbow sour ribbon candy, multicolored nerds, whipped cream, and sprinkles. You can get it for $5.50 at Short Line Caboose. Short Line Caboose is located at 3841 Barrotsky Road in Youngsville. Visit Short Line Caboose on Facebook or call 337-261-4000 to learn more. That's 261-4000. Chocolate ice cream soda, the classic soda shop treat, is made the old-fashioned way and topped with whipped cream and a cherry. You can get one for $4.35 for a small or $5.15 at the last remaining Borden's ice cream shop. Borden's is located at 1103 Jefferson Street in downtown Lafayette. Visit Borden's Ice Cream Shop on Facebook or call 337-235-9291 to learn more. Salty caramel truffle frap. The sweet and salty treat comes with an added bonus of espresso. Add some pep to your step. Get a 16-ounce frap for $5 or a 20-ounce frap for $5.50 at Jamming Java. Jamming Java is located at 3366 Farrell School Road in Lafayette. Visit Jamming Java on Facebook or call 337-857-6955 to learn more. Let me say that one more time because I love saying it. Jamming Java. You can email Megan Wyatt at mwyatt@theadvocate.com if you know of any other shops that are offering sweet treats. Like what you see, find more and share when you're eating by joining the Where Acadiana Eats group on Facebook. And now it's almost the half-hour mark in our broadcast this morning. So we are going to go to a couple more PSAs before we move into the day in history and the zodiac or horoscope, as I like to refer to it as. The AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. The United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. We're looking for teachers and others who can offer something of educational value to send in content to air that will enrich the lives of children staying home all day. To submit content for Learn United, visit www.unitedwayofacadiana.org/team-united. And today is a very special day because it is the Virtual Open Mic Festival Awards today. So on Wednesday, today, April 29th at 7 p.m., the Festival Awards hosts its first ever Pieces of Hope Virtual Open Mic on Zoom. For 14 years, the festival has hosted the Grand Coteau-based event featuring writers, musicians, and storytellers, and 15 years of open mics. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the creative community will gather online. Coming together is an act of hope. Come to share, just to listen and enjoy. The 2-hour open mic presents 20 writers and musicians, each performing for 5 minutes. Performers are from Lafayette, New Orleans, New York, and England. Merry Ode England will be participating. Highlights include performances by the Poet Laureate of Louisiana, John Warner Smith, graphic memoirist Robert Ha, and poet-musician Cornelius Eady. Also featured are James Blanchard, Megan Brough, Melissa Bonin, Larry Brinkhouse, Brenda Calhoun, Jim Clinton, Laura Daly, Charles Garrett, Laurie Anderson, Shia Abair, a second grader that I have as a student in my talented theater class, Dr. Godfrey Henry, Catherine Crozer-Laborde, James McDowell, Valentine Pierce, Charlie Rao, Margaret Simon. So make yourself a drink, grab some glasses and crackers, sit back and enjoy some exquisite performances that will soothe, entertain, and enlighten. To join us, go to the Facebook page for Pieces of Hope Virtual Open Mic. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available the day of the event, that's today. Or you can contact Martha Garner at fowmartha@gmail.com or 337-804-2482. This free community event is suitable for all ages and is sponsored by the Festival Awards Cultural Arts Collective. I will be there. Hopefully you will be there as well. Okay, so let's look at today in history and the zodiac. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, the 120th day of 2020. There are potentially 246 shopping days left in the year. It depends on when the stores and the malls reopen. Today's highlight in history: on April 29th, 1945, during World War II, American soldiers liberated the Dachau concentration camp. Adolf Hitler married Yvonne Braun inside his Führer bunker and designated Admiral Karl Dönitz president. On this date in 1916, the Easter Rising in Dublin collapsed as Irish nationalists surrendered to British authorities. In 1957, the SM-1, first military nuclear power plant, was dedicated at Fort Belvoir in Virginia. In 1967, Aretha Franklin's cover of Otis Redding's Respect was released as a single by Atlantic Records and became one of her greatest selling and well-known covers or songs. 1961, ABC's Wide World of the Sports premiere with Jim McKay as host. In 1991, a cyclone began striking the South Asian country of Bangladesh. It ended up killing more than 138,000 people, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. 1992, a jury in Simi Valley, California, acquitted 4 Los Angeles police officers of almost all state charges in the videotape beating of motorist Rodney King. The verdicts were followed by rioting in Los Angeles, resulting in 55 deaths. In 1997, Staff Sergeant Delmore Simpson, a drill instructor at the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland, was convicted of raping 6 female trainees. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison and dishonorably discharged. A worldwide treaty to ban chemical weapons went into effect in 2000. Tens of thousands of angry Cuban Americans marched peacefully through Miami's Little Havana, protesting the raid in which federal agents yanked 6-year-old Elenia Gonzalez from the home of relatives. In 2018, T-Mobile and Sprint reached a $26.5 billion merger agreement that will reduce the U.S. wireless industry to 3 major players. That deal will be approved by federal regulators in July of 2019. 10 years ago, Governor Bobby Jindal, remember him, declared a state of emergency in the face of the worsening oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. The U.S. Navy officially ended a ban on women serving on submarines, saying the first women would be reporting for duty by 2012. 5 years ago, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe offered condolences for Americans killed in World War II in the first address by a Japanese leader to a joint meeting of Congress, but stopped short of apologizing for wartime atrocities. In what is believed to be the first Major League game played without fans in attendance, Chris Davis hit a 3-run homer in a 6-run first inning, and the Baltimore Orioles beat the Chicago White Sox 8-2. The gates at Camden Yards were locked because of concern for fan safety following recent rioting in Baltimore. 1 year ago, President Donald Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization filed a lawsuit against Deutsche Bank and Capital One in an attempt to block congressional subpoenas seeking their banking and financial records. Today's birthdays: actor Keith Baxter is 87, disgraced financier Bernard Madoff is 82, pop singer Bob Miranda of The Happenings is 78, country singer Dwayne Allen of the Oak Ridge Boys is 77, singer Tommy James, 73, comedian Jerry Seinfeld is 66. Go Jerry. Actor Leslie Jordan, 65, actress Kate Mulgrove, 65, actor Daniel Day-Lewis is 63, actress Michelle Pfeiffer, 62, actress Eve Plum is 62, rock musician Phil King, 60, country singer Stephanie Bentley, 57, singer Carney Wilson of Wilson Phillips is 52, actor Paul Adelstein, 51, actress Uma Thurman, 50, International Tennis Hall of Famer Andre Agassi is 50, rapper Master P is 50, and actor Tyler LeBain is 42, actress Megan Boone, 37. Thought for today: in any great organization, it is far, far safer to be wrong with the majority than to be right alone. Quote by John Kenneth Galbraith, 1908 to 2006. Looking at the zodiac: Taurus, don't leave anything to chance. Say what's on your mind and do whatever is necessary to get your point across. You'll be pleasantly surprised by an unexpected turn of events. Geminis, offer only once reasonable if someone else asks for help. Choose how you delegate your time, services, and cash. A steady pace will lead to respect and financial gain. Cancer, if you take charge, you will get things done your way and on time. Refuse to let less productive people or obstacles slow you down. Let your experience and intelligence guide you. Leo, avoid getting drawn into chaotic circumstances. Focus on yourself, your loved ones, and know how best to avoid situations that involve outsiders. It's time to reflect and make adjustments. Virgo, including my birthday, changes you bring about will affect the way you live and how you view the world around you. Trust and believe only in facts, not in hearsay. Well, I do believe in facts. Libra, bypass some nonsense that someone is spouting or causing. Take care of your responsibilities. Move on to things you enjoy doing. Health, fitness, and updating your image are encouraged. Scorpios, present, promote, and discuss your options with someone who shares your sentiments. Dealing with those who oppose you will be a waste of time. It's up to you to get things done. Sagittarius, protect partnerships from people who like to meddle in others' businesses. Don't share your plans, secrets, or passwords. We'll never share your password. Romance is in the stars. Capricorn, put your plans in motion. Making changes to your living space will encourage you to move forward in other aspects of your life. Reach out to those who share your interests. Aquarius, distance yourself from anyone putting pressure on you. Do what's best for you. Building strength and stamina is encouraged. Pisces, make a positive change regarding your finances or how to earn your living. Don't hesitate to participate in events that are geared toward reform and helping others. And finally, Aries, be prepared to answer questions that will change how others view you. A passionate, persistent approach to gathering what you want will pay off. A physical challenge will ease your stress. And as always, folks, as we say every morning after reading the Zodiac or horoscope, the horoscope, an entertainment feature, is not based on scientific fact. All right, getting back into the news. Let's see. Okay, Opelousas teacher accused of indecent behavior with student. A teacher who works at an Opelousas school was arrested Tuesday and accused of having inappropriate contact with one of his female students, according to a news release from the Opelousas Police Department. Terence Arve, 57, of Ville Platte, was arrested following an investigation initiated by the parent of a student who noticed inappropriate text messages between her child and Arve, police said. It was not immediately clear what school Arve teaches at. Arve was booked into the St. Landry Parish Jail on Tuesday on one count of indecent behavior with a juvenile. Opelousas police said there is still an active investigation and more charges are pending. And these stories are taken from the Crime Blotter. Man arrested in a narcotics bust. An Opelousas man was arrested Tuesday after area officers discovered about $500,000 worth of narcotics during a knock and talk investigation, according to a statement from the Opelousas Police Department. Toby Lanclose, 25 of Opelousas, was arrested after officers received a tip that he had a large amount of narcotics in his home in the 100 block of Andre Street. According to police, the following was found in Lanclose's possession: about 20 pounds of green and vegetable material suspected to be marijuana, 76 suspended concentrated THC vape tubes, 5 containers of suspected concentrated THC wax, a container of concentrated THC oil, 28 doses of suspended LSD. Police estimate the street value of the drugs at $50,000. Police said they also seized a handgun, a rifle, ammunition, an electronic cash counting machine, a large digital scale, a grinder, and a counterfeit dictator pen. Lanclose was booked into the St. Landry Parish Jail on Tuesday on counts of possession with intent to distribute, possession of drug paraphernalia, and illegal carrying of weapons. Okay, moving on to state news. Revised election plan passes. GOP lawmakers hold back access to mail-in ballots by Sam Carlin. An emergency plan for Louisiana's delayed spring elections were approved by the legislature after Republican lawmakers rolled back an expansion for mail-in ballots for people concerned about the coronavirus. The State House and Senate both approved the revised plan, crafted by Republican Secretary of State Kyle Erdogan, even as a contingent of GOP lawmakers sought to block it because it believed it still featured too much access to mail-in ballots. Lawmakers voted by mail on the emergency plan. The House approved it on a 62-39 vote, and the Senate voted 31-8. Following the vote, Erdogan called it a pragmatic and temporary response to the pandemic. Erdogan originally worked with Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards on the emergency plan, and they set on an expansion of mail-in ballots to those 60 or older, those subject to a stay-at-home order, those unable to appear in public because of concern of exposure or transmission of COVID-19, or those caring for a child or grandchild whose school or child care provider is closed because of the virus, among others. Those reasons were stripped out of the new plan, which applies only to the July and August elections, but could provide a foundation for the November presidential election. Under the plan that passed both chambers, people would have access to mail-in ballots, include those at higher risk because of serious medical conditions, those subject to a medically necessary quarantine or isolation order, those advised by a health provider to self-quarantine, those experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and seeking a medical diagnosis, or those caring for someone who's subject to a quarantine order and has been advised to self-quarantine. The revelations came after state Republicans led by Senate and Governmental Affairs Chairwoman Sharon Hewitt of Slidell rejected the expansion of mail-in ballots, claiming it would invite fraud into the elections. That message, which was prompted by President Donald Trump, or promoted by Donald Trump, was also echoed by the Louisiana State GOP. Fact checkers, election experts, and studies have repeatedly shown the risk of fraud, including with mail-in ballots, is extremely low. Louisiana is among more than a dozen states that delay its elections amid the coronavirus pandemic. And New York went as far as to cancel its presidential primary. Alaska, Wyoming, Ohio, and Hawaii are among the states that have switched entirely or almost entirely to mail ballots for elections. Several other states have expanded access to absentee ballots. Louisiana's spring elections now slated for July 15th and July 11th and August 15th were originally headlined by the Democratic presidential primary. While that is settled, voters will also cast ballots in a host of local elections and for party officials. Edwards has expressed support for both iterations of the plan, but Democrats in the legislature have called for broader access to mail-in ballots for people concerned about the coronavirus. Both Republicans and Democrats said they wanted to avoid holding elections like Wisconsin, which in early April moved forward with its presidential primary amid the pandemic after the state's Democratic governor and Republican legislature failed to reach a deal on an election plan. Some Republicans in Louisiana also worried that if they didn't pass an election plan, the courts would decide how the elections would go, potentially involving a greater expansion of mail-in ballots than they want. In Texas, Republicans are battling in court over access to mail-in ballots during the pandemic. Could New Orleans cancel the 2021 Mardi Gras? Mayor says it's something we have to think about, by Jessica Williams. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell said Tuesday she would not rule out canceling carnival celebrations in 2021 as the city continues to recover from the novel coronavirus. Cantrell, speaking with the Washington Post during an online forum, said data about the disease's spread and how severely it impacts the city's bottom line will guide decisions about the carnival season next year, which is slated to begin January 6th. Mardi Gras is February 16th on 2021. It's something that we have to think about. It's something we have to put on the table, Cantrell said of shutting down next year's festivities. It will give me great pause right now before I commit to saying we are moving forward with Mardi Gras 2021. The comments from Cantrell represent the first official statement on a question that has swirled around the city in recent weeks. After the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, the Essence Festival of Culture, and a host of other events, big and small, were canceled in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19, might city leaders decide that even several months from now, the risk to public health is still too great to hold the biggest party of them all? In addition to being a cultural touchstone for New Orleans residents, Carnival is the crown jewel of the city's tourism industry, attracting over 1 million visitors every year who spend tens of millions of dollars at restaurants, bars, hotels, and other businesses. In many cases, preparations have already begun. Several crews said earlier this month they were working to be ready for the 2021 celebration, while acknowledging that a post-coronavirus carnival might have a different feel. The crew of Carrollton is moving forward, collecting dues from its members and preparing the floats that it owns, Captain Wayne Lee said on Tuesday. It's a scary thing that we're going through, but I think it's too early to determine what's going to be going on in our city in January and February of next year. The last time parades didn't roll for Mardi Gras in New Orleans was 1979, when a police strike led crews to cancel their parades for the season. In 1879, an outbreak of yellow fever led to festivities being curtailed and parades were canceled during World Wars I and II. Carnival historian Arthur Hardy noted earlier this month that even if celebrations are held, they may be much different and may not attract as many out-of-town visitors, fearful of being at large gatherings. Now that Mardi Gras has been cited as a prime spreader of coronavirus, will people come, he said? Cantrell's statements came as though some business groups have criticized the mayor for recommending that all major events, such as festivals, be postponed until 2021, when more is known about the virus. Those groups, some of whom also push for an early tentative reopening than the May 16th date Cantrell adopted, says such decisions will have drastic impacts on the city's economy. Business leaders issued their own plan Tuesday that largely reinforced their push to reopen the economy quickly, recommending masks in public places and other steps to prevent spread. Cantrell has maintained that people's lives, particularly the poor and Black communities that have been ravaged by the disease's spread, are more important than finance, especially because the economy could again crumble without healthy workers. She said Tuesday she has assembled a reopening committee that is readying guidelines to be followed when the stay-at-home order expires May 16th. but that the order's current restrictions could be extended if the disease surges. More than 6,300 people have been sickened in the city, and 410 have died from the coronavirus as of Tuesday. New Orleans has also been in the spotlight of national media in recent weeks for plowing ahead with the 2020 Carnival festivities when the virus's march across the country was little more than a few steps. Cantrell has shot back that federal officials in town for the festivities gave no red flags about the city proceeding. A report from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention released earlier this month conceded that local officials had little to no warning at that time, while acknowledging that the famed party likely sped the disease's spread. Cantrell acknowledged her critics in the Washington Post interview on Tuesday. While there was no warning given ahead of this year's carnival, at the same time, we have to learn from lessons, she said, adding that she's hesitant about moving forward. We will let the data dictate the dates. Also unclear is New Orleans' fictional picture, given the coronavirus's crippling effect on the economy. While the city will get at least some of the $810 million in federal CARES Act relief money Louisiana is sending to local governments, that money may not only cover expenses and not losses. And losses are a big issue for tourism-dependent New Orleans. Under expected sales tax declines, the city could lose $150 million this year alone, a deficit that could impede the police department's ability to man large events like Festival and Mardi Gras, she said. If I can't cover my budget deficit, then how can I do that, Cantrell said. Lee, the Carrollton captain, conceded the uncertainty around the city's finances. Still, he said any decisions about the 2021 festivities, still months away, were premature. Hopefully, she gives it a little more time, he said. Senate leader wants Louisiana legislature to return to work on Monday by will Sintel. Despite heavy pushback from Black and Democratic lawmakers, Senate President Page Cortez said Tuesday the Louisiana legislature could resume work Monday by taking extraordinary steps to ensure the safety of lawmakers amid the coronavirus pandemic. We have got to get back and start doing our business, Cortez said. We are essential to government operations. We are just as essential as grocery stores and the Home Depots and Lowe's of the world. But leaders of the Legislative Black Caucus and the Senate and House Democratic caucuses said it would be irresponsible for the legislature to resume work on Monday, adding that May 15 makes much more sense. It could be a devastating blow to the strides made and to the safety of our residents, our staff, and members if we return to business as usual prematurely, the group said in a letter to Governor John Bel Edwards, Cortez, and House Speaker Clay Schnecksider out of Gonzales. Cortez, a Lafayette Republican, made his comments one day after Edwards extended his stay-at-home order to May 15th. Cortez said House GOP leaders agree with the legislative timetable. However, the issue is especially volatile because Black residents have suffered an inordinate number of deaths during the pandemic. The session was supposed to last about 3 months, began March 9th, but stopped about a week later because of the spread of the virus. The House and Senate returned on March 31st for a few hours, observing social distancing rules, only to break again indefinitely. Cortez said there is no reason for a formal call to resume work because legislative leaders agreed on March 31st that it was subject only to his call. The Republicans said top lawmakers favor Monday over May because it will be safer to conduct business in 4 weeks than 2. If we delayed the session, then we would be putting multiple committee meetings in the hallways at the same time, which is diametrically opposed to the suggestions to businesses and to restaurants and so forth, he said. Edwards, a former House member, said Monday that although it's up to lawmakers to decide on the timetable, the legislature is like essential infrastructure. The restart date also sparked criticism from individual legislators. Representative Ted James out of Baton Rouge, who was recovered after spending 5 days in the hospital battling COVID-19, noted that the virus claimed the life of State Representative Reggie Bacula, a Republican out of Cutoff. I just think it's irresponsible for us to go back while a stay-at-home order is in place, James said on Tuesday. When we play politics with lives, you have to draw the line somewhere. James said he has no plans to return to the state capitol before the end of May and will return only to vote on key issues. Cortez, who had recovered after a bout with COVID-19 last month, said he would never be critical of someone who opted to return to the state capitol because of health concerns. But we also know that the virus is going to be around for another year or longer, he said. If somebody did not show up for another 2 years, I would understand that. The virus isn't going away in June. It's not going away in August, but we still have to have a budget by June 30th. State Senator Cleo Fields, Democrat from Baton Rouge, said although he respects lawmakers who have apprehensions about returning Monday, the president has made the decision to call us back into session, and I will be there. Cortez said the plan to limit committees to one meeting at a time and for lawmakers to observe social distancing rules beyond what essential businesses are doing. He said paper documents will be avoided, conferences room will not be used, members of the public will not be allowed to approach the diocese, and strict limits will be imposed on access to the House and Senate floors. Each time someone testifies before a committee, that area will be wiped out, he said. He said the Louisiana legislature, unlike some other states, does not have the ability to conduct business virtually. Cortez said enactment of a $30 billion operating budget would be one of the profiles, as well as appointments and renewal of government agencies set to close and bills related to the pandemic. However, if the panel that sets the state revenue outlook, the Revenue Estimating Conference, does not meet until mid-May, finishing work on the budget and the regular session may be impossible. A new budget has to be in place by July 1st, which means a special session may be required on that and other issues. Next item cannot be reached for comment. And I have a couple more stories left. We're now at 9:57, according to my clock, which means that we're a couple minutes past when the cutoff time was for the TV channels, Cox 15 and Cox 3 and LUS 15. So that audio portion for this morning's broadcast is over, but you can continue if you wish. I only have a couple more stories left and a few minor things to say at the end of the broadcast. A few PSAs to remind people of events taking place. But if you want to continue listening, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is AOC Community Media, or you can listen to us streaming live on Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Street Radio, streaming live. And just press the play button and you'll hear my wonderfully melodious voice. Okay, so continuing, antibody tests suggest virus could be more widespread by Blake Patterson. Of the 432 new antibody tests Baton Rouge General Medical Center has conducted on the public so far, 4.4% have come back positive for the new coronavirus, the health system said on Tuesday. Although health experts caution that a more rigorous study where the representative sample is necessary, they say these results suggest the virus is much more widespread than testing has so far indicated. Quantitatively, these data suggest that a significant portion of our community has been exposed to the virus compared to just the case counts, said Dr. Rebecca Christopherson, a professor of pathobiological sciences at LSU School of Veterinary Medicine. Much of the testing in Louisiana has used nasal or throat swabs and can confirm only if the person tested had an active case of COVID-19, the disease a coronavirus causes. The state has reported 27,286 confirmed cases as of yesterday, Tuesday. The newer antibody tests, also known as serology tests, are different. They rely on a blood draw and look for specific proteins known as antibodies that the immune system creates to fight off the disease. Crucially, they can detect whether a person has had the virus, even if that person did not experience symptoms or has recovered from COVID-19. Dr. Suzanne Strafe-Bourgeois, a former assistant epidemiologist and current assistant professor at LSU's Health Science Center New Orleans, said this kind of testing will eventually help answer how far the disease has spread, but she said testing will need to be much more widespread. She said the cases currently reported are only the tip of the iceberg. Strafe Bourgeois said at least 60% of the population would need to gain immunity from the virus through infection or vaccination before herd immunity, in which the virus can easily spread from person to person, would develop. Though the serology tests are in high demand, experts caution that a positive test does not mean a person is immune or won't catch the virus again. There is a new pathogen to a lot of people, including scientists. We're still trying to know what it means if you are positive antibodies, Christopherson said. We don't know enough yet to say that it's a sign of protection. Baton Rouge General was among the first to roll out antibody testing to the public in Louisiana when it began offering a test developed by the Mayo Clinic last week at 2 of its express care locations. And on Friday, Patient Plus Urgent Care, which has 5 walk-in clinics across Baton Rouge, began offering an antibody test developed by its Austin, Texas-based partner, Clinical Pathology Laboratories. Austin Health plans to roll out antibody testing to the public in May. Raymond Almon wasn't the least bit surprised when he found out Saturday that a coronavirus antibody test he took at Express Care came back positive. Almon, 43, spent the last weeks of January battling with what he later learned were the telltale symptoms of COVID-19, chills, fever, and a cough so strong it shook his body. He said he lost 15 pounds from a loss of appetite and diarrhea. It can take between 8 and 14 days for a person's immune system to attack the virus and develop antibodies. So officials said patients should not seek out the test unless it has been at least 10 days since developing symptoms or coming into contact with someone with the coronavirus. The demand for antibody testing has exploded in recent weeks, and the market has been flooded by more than 100 tests, though the Food and Drug Administration has given its seal of approval to only 4. The test Baton Rouge General is using was developed by the Mayo Clinic, and the hospital described it as one of the most robustly validated tests available with a 98.6 specificity. That means the test turns up roughly 1 false positive result for every 102 positive tests. But scientists warn that not all tests are alike and that most are accurate enough to confirm whether a person has been exposed to the virus. Dr. Ruben Patel, the CEO of Patient Plus Urgent Care, said earlier on in the crisis he was offered a pinprick antibody test that had been rushed to market, but ultimately decided against using it to prioritize quality over speed. He later learned that the test was discontinued for inaccuracies. We wanted to make sure the test was quality and testing process was efficient versus trying to be the first one to the public, Patel said. Strafe Bourgeois, who recently advised Governor John Bel Edwards on his stay-at-home orders, said there are still too many questions to answer before antibody testing can be reliably used to make public policy decisions. There's so much uncertainty, so many different tests, and again, what does it really mean to have antibodies? Strafe Bourgeois said. In our last story of the morning, several oil and gas businesses plan to lay off hundreds in LA. Downsizing may be temporary depending on customer demand, by Kristen Mossbrucker. Several businesses in the oil and gas industry across the state expect to lay off at least 600 workers collectively, or have already sent out pink slips because of the economic downturn and a glut of oil from reduced demand caused by the coronavirus pandemic. 2 companies near Lafayette and 1 each in Baton Rouge and Bossier City filed layoff notifications with the Louisiana Workforce Commission. The largest layoff is for 350 workers and 3 pipe fabrication facilities in Port Allen, run by Turner Industries based in Baton Rouge. The company has seen a decline in customer orders since the price of oil collapsed and the economy turned downward from the coronavirus pandemic. The goal is to avoid layoffs if the company is able to rustle up enough customer orders before June 26th to keep workers busy. We are continuing to watch for new work in the coming months and will be responding to the economy as it turns around, says Stephen Toops, president of Turner Industries. We believe these layoffs are temporary and have every intention to resume normal operations. ASRC Energy Services Omega in New Iberia is closing its facility and laying off 180 workers starting in early June through August. We would like to have given more notice of this action, but were unable to do so because of how quickly our operations were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the company said in its letter to the state agency. The company did not respond to a request for comment. Ensco Offshore Company, which recently changed its name to Valaris, is laying off an undisclosed number of workers at its Brizard office who were assigned to work offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. The company has seen customers suspend, defer, and terminate drilling contracts because of the economic situation and low oil prices. It expects it to begin layoffs on May 30th. It is possible, however, that the effective date of termination for some employees may extend beyond that due to the process required to downman the rig, according to the company's letter to the state. These layoffs may also be temporary, according to on customer demand. Certain employees may be reemployed should the rig secure a new drilling contract or present contract commitments recommence at a later date. The layoffs are expected at this time to be permanent, the letter continued. The company did not respond to comment about the layoffs. In Bossier City, Cactus Wellhead LLC, an oil field services business, began laying off 42 workers on April 1st. The company laid off about 30% of its North American workforce at the same time. In the past days, it has become clear that our industry is facing a far more abrupt and dramatic decline than reasonably anticipated, according to the company. Several of its large hydraulic fracturing customers decided to stop drilling, so the company is laying off another 25 employees from machinists to assembly technicians and quality control inspectors. Halliburton recently decided also to lay off 36 workers in Lafayette. And that's it for the news this morning. But I just want to remind you that this evening there will be a virtual open mic called Pieces of Hope, sponsored by the Festival Words Arts Collective. You can go to our Facebook page, Pieces of Hope Virtual Open Mic. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available the day of the event. We already have all the readers listed, but when I say we, because I'm involved in the Festival Words Arts Collective, we invite up to 75 participants as just listeners and audience to clap along and participate in the event. So if you're interested, please contact Martha Gardner at fowmartha@gmail.com for more information, or call 804-2482. And also, DTA, or Downtown Alive, is continuing. And this week, it will be featuring Steve Riley and the Riley Family Band. So Downtown Alive House Sessions are a series of Friday night concerts for Acadiana, presented by Evangeline Maid and organized by Downtown Lafayette. The house sessions are a way for all of us to help Acadiana musicians who are out of work due to the ongoing coronavirus situation. The series will support local musicians and make staying home fun. This Friday, May 1st at 7 p.m., join us for Steve Riley and the Riley Family Band, airing live on the Downtown Alive Facebook page and right here on AOC 1, Cox 15, LUS 3, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. Well, that about wraps it up this morning, folks, here in Acadiana. As always, I am honored to be reading you the news for our parts of our community who don't get the news cycle, including the hearing impaired and those who don't have access to technology or to the newspaper itself or the news cycle. We're happy to bring you the service. If you are at all interested in doing what I do, then please join us. We will eventually, hopefully, be getting back into the studio at some point, and we will need newspaper volunteers at that time. If interested, please go to our website, aocinc.org, look for the application, as a newspaper or volunteer reader, and sign up and join us, become part of the team. So as always, please stay safe, stay healthy, follow the protocols. We're still in this. It's not going away anytime soon, folks. So please adhere to the protocols so we can stop the spread. And just be kind to each other, as always. You have a good morning, and we'll see you soon.